Welcome to PhD with Woman on It, Hack the Future. What if the key to success isn't just in the numbers, but in the resilience to overcome obstacles that life throws at you? This week, we're exploring the formula for owning your power, your business, and your life, even with the odds that are stuck against you. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD, Positivity Hack Delivered, will be by Grace Redman. Sorry, I'm thinking very slow because I'm in a different vibration. Manifesting Fearless 2025 from Fucked Up. Sorry, that will be blipped up to Fabulous with Grace Redman. Episode 187 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you're manifesting Fearless 2025. First, let me get through some great mentions of our previous guests or people who we met on the path of Fearless 2020 to 2025. Anne Godot, our guest, will be hosting Elevate, a one-day in-person event on June 21st that's designed for women who are ready to stop putting their health and vitality on the back burner. Discover how to reset your metabolism, break free from burnout mode, and step fully into your power era. All the best, Anne. Dr. Michelle Jalanze is another amazing, great speaker and previous guest. She's on the path of discovering her beautiful art side. She's wearing her hat in Malta. I met her in 2017 when we relocated. So life is a cycle. Here we go again. Michelle, you rock. Lynn Martin from New York Stock Exchange, thank you for ringing the closing bell at Circle headquarters in One World Trade to commemorate a historic IPO, a powerful moment at the intersection of tradition and innovation. Congratulations to all involved in this milestone. And I want to wave this flag for you, Lynn, again, because that's a cycle. This is what happened last year when we met in front of the Fearless Girl statue after ringing the bell upon the great invitation from Lynn. Once again, thank you so much. But now let's go back to our topic, manifesting fearless from Fired Up to Fabulous with Grace Redman. In this episode of Positivity Hack Delivered, we will have a conversation with Grace Redman, president and owner of Stansbury Staffing, one of the top-rated staffing firms in the San Francisco Bay Area. With 26 years of experience navigating 5 economic downturns and global pandemic, Grace has proven that resilience, vision, and perseverance can lead to extraordinary success. She will share her blueprint for going from fired up to fabulous. I'm not going to mention the F word here again. How to redefine the hustle, build confidence in your storms, and create a life and business you truly love. Grace, how are you today?
I'm great, Beata. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to chat with you.
Oh, you have to tell me where in the world you're joining us from.
Yeah.
And the next question comes next.
I'm joining you from the San Francisco Bay Area, United States, California.
Oh, I hope we're gonna have a private breakfast there soon, so we can have a seat at the table and we can build that table. But in the meantime, let's shunt what you're fired up about today. So tell us about your intentions for this episode of Positivity Hack Delivered.
Well, my intention is for us to have fun, for us to connect with each other, because when we're connected, we'll connect with your audience and provide impact and value to your audience that are watching and we're watching the replay.
And I bring empathy to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you're manifesting, doing intentions, and
Yeah.
so forth. But let's go to your great book, Can I Leave? Dare to Go from F Up to Fabulous. Tell us about that book. What inspired you to write it?
Mm. So what inspired me to write it was I had so many people asking me, how did I get to where I am today? Because so many people know my history and my story. And when I was 19 years old, I started, therapy in secret. Nobody knew. And I saw that therapist on and off for 25 years. And, about 10 years ago, she admitted to me that when she met me when I was 19 years old, she believed that there was no hope left for me. And she hoped that I wasn't offended. And I said, I'm not offended at all. I was actually, it spoke to the resilience of our human spirit. And that's what inspired me to write the book. How, the her dysfunctional 19-year-old got to where she was today, even when her therapist thought there was no hope left for her. So that was the inspiration to write the books about the strategies and tools that I use to get to where I am today.
Well, I'm so glad that she didn't tell you that because there is a magic and vibration in words. And definitely, if she told you that you were fired up, that would be one thing. But, the other F word would be not so necessarily. So let's talk about the power of words and how they can
Mm.
change the dynamic of the room or of the table and or of our brains, the
Yes.
human intelligence. No more AI talk.
Yes. I believe that words are very powerful. And last week I realized that I had slipped into more of a lack mentality, that I was using words that were not in a high vibration, that weren't powerful. And just in the last week, I've, been conscious of the words I've been using. And I kid you not, I feel very different. I feel more empowered. I feel more fired up. And it's very, our words can be very sneaky. Oftentimes we believe, we were being positive, we're doing, the right things, yet there's, a little, just a little words we use. Like I've noticed myself saying, it's been so hard. Well, if I'm going to continue to focus on it being hard, it's going to continue to be hard. So I've reframed that to, I appreciate the challenges are ahead because they're opening new opportunities. So I really believe the words we use are very powerful. What do you feel, Beata?
Oh, totally. Because, as I mentioned a couple of times during speaking, I had this, um, for example, I had this teacher, maths teacher, and at eighth grade, what would be equivalent of eighth grade in communist Poland, my math teacher was asking everybody, where are they going to go to? And I'm sorry if I'm gonna kind of tear up about that.
I'm here
Real
with you,
talk.
sister. I'm here with you. Yes, real talk.
But I was told I'm not gonna pass if I want to go to Lyceum, which was like, high school. Anyway, so my mom told me a great phrase, which is shut up and do it anyway. Actually, the literal translation is co w duszy, to Gestapo nie ruszy. So what's inside your soul, Gestapo won't touch, okay? I can't, translate it into great rhythm, but, that was a vibration that, you know, let me go through that path, and I was just hiding, and I didn't tell her anything. And then, I did it anyway, and I passed. But it was very hard, and
Mm.
but I'm on the path to recovery. I'm not worried to wave my scarf during the opening bell. When I'm happy, I'm showing it, and nobody can tell me how
Oh,
to be because I'm just myself.
yes, sister. You know what's so ironic? I mean, this speaks to the universe aligning our experiences. This morning, I released a newsletter, and it's exactly that. It is, I was told I was going to fail so many times, and I didn't listen to the people. I did it anyway, and I created success just like you have. So thank you for sharing that. It's evidence
Yep.
that
Mm.
we must believe in ourselves. And, maybe the people around us mean well and they're trying to, protect us. However, at the end of the day, we must believe in ourselves and our vision and just do it anyway.
Mm. Speaking of words, it's so funny because we have these followers who um, you know come to the table. Let's say we are having this conversation at the table, we are women at the table, and then some men will join, and they will say, yes, we want to be with you, we want to be leaders, and so on. Now what do we do? And they are just lost. It's a snafu situation, normal, all fired up. Anyway, we have a couple of callers who want
Thank
to make comments. So let's go for these lovely comments because we have great supporters. Olga Vasina, seeing you back. Beata is fabulous. And hi, Grace, amazing Grace.
Hello. Thank you.
And Jane is saying, hello, Beata and Grace, looking forward to listen to the show. And finally, my biggest supporter, number one fan, he's the chosen one. I'm his chosen one. So great to see you live, Beata and Grace. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
You.
you.
Anyway,
Yes.
good. All right. So past the words because they mess with our brain, and coming back to the power of words. It's so funny, you talking about how choosing the positive reinforcement can really change the dynamic completely. So just to give you an example, I had a flight, domestic flight, somewhere in a small Bermuda Triangle, and going from island to island. And I met this lovely lady, a fighter. Her name is Diane. And she told me that she's practicing yoga. And then she started complaining about the donkeys, about American tourists visiting the island. And I was just like, it's not nice when you're following a path but not really going deep into why yoga was created, why this positive reinforcement is important, what is the teachings behind the yoga, and so on. So it's so sad to see followers of good intentions that just go away, isn't it?
Yes. And I realize we're also, very human. And what I've learned is I also must honor when I am in a lack mindset. I've learned, like, okay, I need to honor that because underneath that lack mindset is fear. The little girl in me is afraid. So I honor that. And then I move into the positive mindset. And yes, that's been one of the hardest things for me to learn, is not to get frustrated when I witness other people not, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, just to tell you a little bit of story, those who don't know, I'm sorry, but just a recap of the story. Our community was formed by me in 2019 because I was tired of white guys talking to white guys about other white guys had tip to our amazing Cindy Gallop here. And, when I joined this Malta great organization, great intention again. Women in tech, we need to bring more women into technology, and let's speak, let's have the top down model, let's tell them how to be, and so on. And then the leader of the group was a white male. What does it tell us? How can you be what you cannot see? How can you speak to somebody who doesn't look like me, doesn't speak my language, and says things like women needs help?
That's a great question. And I've learned the hard way to deal with those types of ignorant comments by cultivating a deep sense of self-worth in myself and knowing that no matter what, I am valuable. And so when I encounter, ignorant comments like that, I step back and I'm curious and I wonder, what's possessing them to communicate something that's so uneducated and so ignorant. And so the way it helps me is I've gotten curious, and also we also have to express our voice and ask back, what makes you say that? Did you mean to disrespect me? And that usually stops people in their tracks. So number one, for me, I've learned the hard way. I had to cultivate a very solid sense of self-worth, and also learn how to use my voice in those situations where someone is rude, disrespectful, or ignorant.
Mm. Well, Jane, bear with us. We're going to ask that question. That's very interesting approach, because I have to tell you, Grace, amazing Grace, and I'm referring to Grace Hopper, who said, the ship in a harbor looks wonderful, but that's not what ships are made for. And that's
Mm.
really kind of a cycle for me, because I was really worried how to express myself, what to say. I was really uh, you know pretending that it didn't hurt me. I could see, and I could see the room of women who were just upset. And how do you react when that guy who said women need help is actually thinking that he's doing the right thing? So at the beginning I was really furious. Now I'm applying my feminine wisdom, and I'm really looking into tapping into my mother nature. Okay,
Mm,
so which means, oh, he doesn't. He never saw a fearless woman, and he thinks that's what women are. They need help.
mm,
Okay, so empathy, it really helps when you watch the room,
yes.
and before speaking up you just gather your thoughts, because that's my methodology. Although I have to say that at some stage it really gets frustrating, because like Cindy Gallop always says, you need to speak up. Yes, but we
Absolutely.
need to choose words carefully, because these men are scared that means they will have to leave the room, because they've
Mm,
never seen a woman that upset the room. They always see a
mm,
woman as the one who makes coffee,
mm,
who is nurturing, who says it's okay, boy. And they are just lost boys, like,
mm.
I don't know, a leader who needs a slapstick while leaving the airplane. Okay.
A slapstick.
Yep.
So I agree with you. There are times that we we get to choose and pick our battles, and I absolutely agree with you on that. I loved how you used curiosity to pause, step back, and I think those are very valuable, traits, is to be curious, to pause, step back, and to be discerning. And also, we must use our voices.
Mm. Well, that observation really helped me kind of, this curiosity of a child. And I'm not going to delve into another topic because I'm very fired up today and I have too many thoughts, and we want to just focus on the positives. However, it reminds me the story in 2014. I was in Berlin, great initiative, Tech Open Air. And Zalando organized a great panel of speakers, and it was amazing because there was every representation in the room. They were talking about it, the quota, how they are doing good things, and so on. But really, I was sitting there quizzical because they had reached about 50, almost 50% of quotas. They had, great panel of speakers. However, I asked a question. I dared to ask a question. Did you notice that, we are coming to the end of this event, and even though you have a quota, there is 4 women gathering dirty dishes and 1 guy pushing a trolley with dirty dishes. So there is something wrong there still.
How can we change that?
Well, here is a simple fact. We need to observe, apply our motherly instinct, and be patient. And we had a guest talking about the star alliances and so on. And, you talk about, for example, Grace, in your book about numerology. So also observation is of nature, because it's so funny how I watch, the birds, or some human behavior, and I see allegories everywhere. It's sharpening my brain when I don't get distracted by this
Mm,
thing, AI, and
mm,
when I tap into my intuition.
beautiful.
How about your intuition, Grace?
I'm so grateful for my intuition. Even as a young girl, before I knew what intuition and awareness was, I could hear that small voice inside my head. That's what moved me to go to therapy when I was 19. I could sense those feelings. And as I've gotten older and become more aware of my intuition and awareness, it's very rare that I don't listen to my intuition. And when I don't, I regret it.
Mm,
And so I've been able to, cultivate more depth to my intuition since I've learned how to pause and give myself grace and sit quietly and pray and meditate. I That's hustle with heart. I loved how you talked about hustle with heart earlier. So we can still hustle, but if we're constantly hustling, we're not going to be in tune to our intuition. When we pause and we go into our heart, that's when we're going to have a deeper sense of intuition.
mm.
That's my experience.
Yes, because the world is yin and yang, and we need male and females coming together, because,
Absolutely.
below deck, magic can happen, but really there needs to be one captain that brings the message. Anyway, speaking of
And
messages,
I love that. So you said have to be one captain to bring the message. What would the captain look like? Who, like, for example, give me an example, like who would the captain be?
oh, for me, it's Grace Hopper. Okay. Grace
Mm,
Hopper celebration is coming in December, and maybe one day I will find a sponsor who will be happy to sponsor us women and have that amazing Grace celebration. and
Beautiful.
Ada Lovelace celebration, because she was also born in December. And there is a truth written in stars, because I was raised in Nicolaus Copernicus town called Toruń. And, we are joking that Nicolaus Copernicus was a woman because of his hairdo and so on. But really, I think there is a deeper meaning, though, because when I look at the facts of how Nicolaus Copernicus built his power, he was very fearful of the church, right? So how can you tap into that without rattling the table? So
Mm,
one of the things he had to do, he in his expose to the Pope, asking for permission, and being very gentle, and I think it comes from his mother, because he was very close to his mother. And here is another fun fact for those who don't know history of Nicolaus Copernicus. So he was so close and impacted by his mother. Apparently, his mother was helping him write the Revolution, the book.
mm,
Okay, she was giving him some notes, and she was a simple woman who was not appreciated. But another fun fact, so his remains were in a different city, her remains were in different cities, so they put them together. They had an official kind of burial, and now we have the mother and the heart of the son together, because the
interesting.
mother's heartbeat always wants the best. And when we look into Decalogue, and when we look into Bible, everything has been written before. Okay, so for example, what has been written before? Solomon knew that mother's instinct is not going to allow to kill the child. So she would rather walk away because she wants that child to be alive.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, we have to bring our lovely audience into this discussion because they have some questions, and I want to keep this discussion inclusive. So, Jane is asking, do you think intent matters more than interpretation of words, Grace?
That's a great question. I believe so. If my intention in my words is coming from a loving and kind place, however, the person that I'm speaking with interprets it in a different way, I do believe that my energy and the intention is matters more than the interpretation. I do believe so because our energy doesn't lie.
Mm. Oh, it's so layered. I think I would go on this one, Jane. So if you want, we can have another discussion. And there is another comment from Patrick. Oh, ladies, this is such a beautiful, honest, sorry, bear with me, um, mature conversation. Don't want to say more in case somebody says I am mansplaining, so I will stop here. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick, for letting us have some in between words, not just the last words. That's inside the joke here. So, Grace, how can men best support fantastic ladies when they are fundamentally fabulous every day? Thank you for asking that question, Patrick.
That that's a great question. You know, I'm very blessed to at this point in my life be surrounded by actually men who are very supportive, and the way that they help is they bring opportunities to the table, for us. Also, they affirm the work that we're doing. And if you're not sure, ask the women in your circle how you can be supportive of them, because I know that there are many different ways that you can be supportive, and bringing those opportunities to the table, and affirming their fabulousness.
Mm. So here is my intake. I think the problem is, uh, it's completely different dynamic when a woman brings when a woman comes to the table. And there is lots of studies that talk about the fact that you need at least three women to make a change, because we need to have positive reinforcement from another woman for men to hear it, because they usually don't listen, because we can never win, because we are either too weak or too strong, but never just right. That's a study done by some, white guys with other white guys and so on. It doesn't matter. What is important is, we are surrounded by so many people we chasing this great testament of their brilliance. Oh, I had Harvard, I had Yale, and so on, but nobody taps into intuition. And I would like to thank Patrick for letting me be that sounding board sometimes, and not being very academic, and asking me questions. Because the first time, and here's, rant over, I'm going to finish there, but I have to tell you how I met Patrick. So I met him in London a long time ago, nearly 20 years ago, and he asked me a lot of questions. And then he was sharing with me what he knows about Poland, what he knows about, pharmaceutical industry, because at the time I was working at the big pharmaceutical wholesaling company in London. And he was just kind, interesting, and he believed in my power. He was not undermining, he could see that fire. And that's really what we need. We need somebody who lets us sit at the table and let us make tiny mistake, you know. But if it's repeats, if you keep doing mistakes, okay, I get it, right? But really, let us sit at the table together below deck, and then let us come out and deliver that message and support that message. Because there is nothing worse than somebody rattled with fear that I'm not going to deliver. The vibration is just not going to be good. What about
I agree.
next questions? Is there any more questions? We are good. We are 36 minutes in. Grace, I'm sorry I'm so slow, because I'm
You're
getting into
you're
my flow.
who said you're slow? You're rocking and rolling, sister. You're on fire today. Bring it on.
No, I know. Well, I just, I was coined by my mother that I'm too slow. I need to be like, yes, the Polską news, whereas she said, I'm like a Russian hymn, which is Volga, Volga, Pruska, Rieka. So there you go. I'm in my flow, in my vibration, and I really feel good, Grace, about this
Good.
conversation.
I'm
Oh,
so
and I'm
happy.
rhyming.
Yes. Well, one of the intentions that we set before we came on live was to have fun, and you're making this very fun. So you're on fire, you're fun, you're fabulous, sister. Bring it on.
Oh, absolutely. I just don't want to overpower you, lovely guest, and
You're so sweet.
your
You're
great
not.
great intentions are here,
Thank
and
you.
I want to shine the light on you more. So let's
Mm.
go back to your book. You said that somebody thought of you. We talked about the power of words. So what about the power of your brain? Because the artificial intelligence
Mm.
is telling us one thing, but really we forget about the human intelligence. What about your human intelligence? How do you tap into it?
Think similarly to how I tap into my intuition. And it's when I sit in those moments of quiet, that's where the pause comes in. That's why it's so important for us to really bust the myth of hustle, because when we're constantly in a place of hustle, we're not tapping into our creativity and our emotional intelligence, and that's when it comes. And for me, it's very early in the morning. It's after my
Mm,
prayer, after my meditation. It's when I'm quiet. It's when I can tap into that creativity, and the answers come. That's what I believe the emotional tapping into our emotional intelligence is because we all have it. It's just, are we allowing ourselves to tap into it?
great. Well, as I said, I'm on recovery from apologizing for everything. And I want to go back to the cycle of fearless girl. So fearless girl, as we know, is sitting in front of New York Stock Exchange, staring at that bull, right in front of that beautiful building. And as we know, Lynn Martin is in charge. I was really fired up at the time. I have to say that uh, I really needed that moment to pause and bring back the memories and grieve over the loss of my mom, and get rid of any sorrows and get rid of the the words that were not necessary, as we say, the power of words. So let's make it positive reinforcement. So I'm focusing on positives because, as I like to say, when you focus on positives, the positives get more positive. Uh,
Absolutely.
it sounds like a, like masło maślane, we say, buttery butter. And English is not my first language. I have to apologize that I'm pausing so much,
No
but I
apology necessary.
should not,
Yeah,
absolutely.
throw the apology out. Like, what are you apologizing for?
I know it still sits there, this
Get
brain.
it, girl. Let it go. Just, I
We need
love you
to,
been in your power this morning.
I need to tap my head and rub my tummy to go into my gut feeling, and my gut feeling is telling me to be fearless, like that girl that is staring the bull into the bull's eye.
Yes, yes, and it's a believing in ourselves. I don't care who is standing in front of me. I don't care if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's a bull, it doesn't matter. I need to believe in myself, period.
Mm,
Because I don't know if I could bring, God into this, but I'm a child of the Most High God. I am created in the image of the God of my understanding, and nobody outside of me can tell me any different.
mm. Okay, well, what about the power of belief system? And this is something that I was thinking about while I was preparing for this talk, because our belief system can be so weird. When we believe we are beautiful, we are beautiful. When we believe that this could be botoxed, you're gonna do it anyway, and you may not still feel beautiful. What about you, Grace? Do you feel beautiful?
I absolutely do.
Mm,
Absolutely. And it took me a very long time to say that, because I had to dig into my belief system. And I didn't realize that 95% of the way we live our life is based on the unconscious stories we tell ourselves. So, yes, I mean, we definitely have to look at our belief system. And I've also seen people who have created with conviction, who had no idea of their belief system. Now, I feel like it's, you know, healthier to have an understanding of your belief system and create from a place of trust and faith, as opposed to create from a place of because oftentimes conviction is coming from fear. So ideally it was to create from a place of conviction and faith, and have an understanding of your belief system and create more empowering stories to help you
mm.
get to where you want to go.
So there is a great influencer, religious influencer, and again, a religious, whatever religion you believe in, it's, we are not
Totally.
preaching here.
Not at
It's
all.
Decalogue has been written to really do the good in the world, and it's riddles through different religion systems all over the world. However, the good intentions of Decalogue are skewed somehow, and people take it the wrong way because their interpretation may be wrong. So I like to tap into this great poet. He was a priest in Poland who said, "Hurry up, loving people, because they pass so quickly." But I would also add to this, hurry up to love yourself first before you love other people. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can only love someone else to the level that we love ourselves. And so often, in my experience, I was making an effort as, a young person to get love from someone else. And then I'd get very upset and hurt and angry that they weren't giving that love back to me. And then I realized they cannot give me more than they're able to give themselves.
Mm, that's truth to power, sister. Well, if we are speaking about sisterhood, we've got a lovely Jamil who is going to carry on conversation. Jamil, are you there?
Hello, B. Hello, Grace.
Hello.
How are you
Okay,
today?
I'm buzzing off. Speak to you soon.
Okay,
Thank you,
B. Thank
Beata.
you. Hello, Grace. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Okay. Before we go to our standard questions, I just have one question related to our topic today. This whole rise and grind thing. Uh, it's about. It's good to hear, but it is kind of also exhausting. We're done glamorizing burnout. What if the real flex is building success without losing your mind?
Yeah.
How do you redefine the hustle without burning out?
Well, like we spoke about it earlier, I mean, we definitely need
Mhm.
commitment and consistency and taking action, which, is the hustle. And we also need to incorporate the pause and the play and the rest. In my experience, when took time to pause and play and rest, I felt very guilty because I had been conditioned that I was only worthy, I was only going to create if I was in the hustle, which was taking action. And I want to really emphasize that we can be successful when we incorporate our fun, play, rest, pause. And honestly, in my experience, it's helped me be more successful because when we are in a place of fun and play and pause, we tap into the intuition that Beata talked about earlier. We tap into the emotional intelligence that helps us vibrate higher. And in that higher vibration, we're able to attract more. So I learned the hard way that the hustle eventually sabotaged me.
Speaking of success, for the women listening right now, maybe they've got this idea bubbling up inside them, or they are in the job that just doesn't let them up anymore. What's one piece of advice you give them to help them take the first step forward?
So I had a hard time hearing your question. Did you say what is the first step forward that they can take when they're in a situation that doesn't feel ideal?
Yes.
Okay. So I would recommend, the first step to take is to step back and pause and actually look at what is working in that situation. Because like Beata said earlier, when we focus on the positive aspects, we get more positive aspects. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to stay there. It just means, okay, I'm in this position, in this job. I really don't like this job at all. I want something different. What is something that I can be grateful about in this situation? Well, my commute is very close to home. My commute's only 10 minutes. I'm very grateful for that. So the moment we go into that, you know, grateful energy, then we can start taking the step. What's the next logical step I can take to move on from this situation? So oftentimes we want, to climb the mountain in one step, and it can't be, we cannot do that. We need to take one step. Number one, gratitude. Then the second step would be, what's the next logical step to take to get me to my next step?
In your opinion, what are the top three soft skills every career-driven woman should master? Not just to survive, but to thrive in today's world.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Beata and I spoke about many of those. Number one, definitely curiosity is very important. Also, cultivating that strong sense of self-worth. And I think the third soft skill is learning and being comfortable with saying no, because that helps you set your boundaries, and that really, helps you take care of yourself.
So when life throws a curveball, what's your go-to way of working through it? What's your problem-solving mindset when things
Hmm.
feel a bit messy or uncertain?
Sure, that's a great question. Frankly, when things feel a bit messy or I'm in a storm, we talked about this. I pause, I stop. There are times where I don't do anything, and I allow myself to, feel whatever, pain I'm feeling, or whatever frustration, or whatever anguish I'm feeling in regards to the problem. And then that really helps me gain clarity. And from that place of clarity, I decide what the next logical step is to help solve, whatever the problem is. Oftentimes, when I pause and I don't do anything, I get resources, or a person that helps me with the solution.
Speaking of a person, none of us are able to achieve success without some help along the way. Is there a particular person who you are grateful towards who helped get you to where you are?
Mm. So I've, had a coach by the name of Sunny Dawn Johnson. I've had many coaches. I have many coaches at the same time, but she's been one of my spiritual coaches, and I'm very grateful for her. She is the one that has helped me move from, hustle to heart, who's helped me learn to choose myself, who's helped me learn to say no, who's helped me get curious. So I would definitely say she's been, someone in my life that has been a tremendous influence.
Are you working on any new exciting projects right now?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I've recently started doing professional speaking. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona last week for a talk, which went very well. So I'm excited about that. I'm also really excited that I am opening up VIP days. So you're able to work with me either in person if you are local to me, or virtually for a VIP day, for us to kind of help uncover what may be the stories that are holding you back. And, we want to help you soar to that next level. So I'm really excited that now I'm offering a VIP day to our clients.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "Women are like tea bags. We don't know our true strength until we are in hot water." In life, how are you in hot water days? How are you brewing?
So, okay, in life, how am I in hot water, and how am I brewing? Well, I feel like I am in hot water because I have two businesses. I have a staffing business and I have a coaching business. I've been in business for 26 years, and I feel like I'm in hot water because after 26 years, the staffing industry, because of AI, is shifting tremendously, and we really need to. It's like a building. The building needs to be, demolished and rebuilt, and so that's where I feel like I'm in hot water. And I'm realizing that may not be a building that I want to rebuild. And how I'm brewing is, I really love, I've been doing the coaching for 10 years, and I really love that side of the business. So that's what's brewing, just planting the seeds to be able to bring, to, help more people on the coaching side. So I love that analogy. How are you in hot water and how are we brewing? So thank you for that metaphor.
What is the number one book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I read before I started my career?
Mm. I would say The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, because one of the greatest tools for success is really surrendering and letting go. And I think that is part of, where the faith in ourselves comes in, faith in the process, faith in our capabilities. And oftentimes we make an effort to control everything around us. And once I read The Surrender Experiment, it was a game changer, because when I found myself going in resistance and wanting to control the situation, I just learned to, well, it's not easy, but to let go and open up my heart space and trust the process. So I wish I knew that earlier in life.
Let's imagine that you could meet anyone in the world for a private breakfast. Who would it be and where would you choose to be?
Hmm. Well, it would be Mother Teresa,
Hmm.
because I love Mother Teresa's perspective on unconditional love and kindness and humanity. And I feel that, we have lost that, and we definitely need to go back to that. So I definitely would love to meet Mother Teresa. And where would we meet? I would love to meet her in Paris. I'm not sure why.
So nice. And for our last question, can you please give us your favorite life lesson quote?
It's not about waiting for the rain to stop. It's about learning how to dance in the storm. That is my favorite quote.
So nice. And thank you, Grace, for our conversation. So, all right, that's my piece, and let's get back to the to
Thank
Beata
you so much. Thank you.
to
I
continue the
appreciate it.
Sorry, yeah, we can't hear you. I think you're
We can't hear you, sweetheart.
Well, it must be that fire, ladies and gentlemen. That vibration is messing with technology. I hope Echo is not going to be upsetting. However, let me tell you one thing. I'm really grateful, Jamil, for doing it. And before we buzz off, I've got a great support of our team. Thank you so much once again. We had comments from Olga Vasina, Jane, Patrick Young. And what I'm really touched about is the fact, Grace, that you talked about rain. And why it is amazing? Because it's actually my mother who passed away. And I'm revisiting great memories with her. And she loved when I danced in the rain, because
Mm,
everybody was talking about, oh, you should not dance when there is storm, but actually she would encourage us kids to play in the rain.
absolutely. Every day, all day.
It's so liberating, and we're gonna play in the rain. And
Yes, sister.
whether we use the quotation by Galileo Galilei, which is when he was faced with Spanish Inquisition, he said, Eppur si muove. So we are going to chant our songs, we are going to still move, and we are going to move the energy of the sun, of the stars, of the universe, of whatever belief systems you believe in. And finally, it's interesting you wanted to choose Paris, and be careful what you wish for. And finally, I was wondering, when you were little, what did you dream to become? Was there one specific dream, or can you come back to that place of childhood?
What was my dream as a child?
Yes.
My dream as a child was to have my own family. I mean, it was, this might seem cliche, but it was to have, someone love me and to have a family and a home and feel safe and loved. I didn't really have big, huge dreams until later in life. And so that's what I wanted when I was a little girl, just to be loved and have a place to call my own home.
Great.
Great.
Thank you so much for sharing that dream. I was inspired by lots of art in my childhood, I have to tell you. And I was so upset because I wanted to be a person of Renaissance. And, because Michelangelo, for example, he created great things. Then Leonardo da Vinci created so many great things. And I think uh, you know, this is the moment of Renaissance when female power is coming into play, and nobody expects Spanish Inquisition, and nobody expects that vibration. It's written in the stars. So I'm spending my time reading the stars, reading the universe, and I wish everybody to hug the future, because that's my tagline that I developed sometime. And Grace, thank you so much for today's conversation. It was really liberating to hear you talk about the dancing in the rain, because it is important to tap into our inner child and sometimes have fun and wave that flag and whatever you feel like, because we should be unapologetic ourselves,
Yes. Be
because every
wave that scarf. Wave that scarf, Beata.
woohoo.
Yes. There you go.
Ho, 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 ho. Because change is coming, and
Yes.
we need patience and quiet. And it could be below deck, it could be forest, it could be talking to animals, because while we pat our cat, he's gonna tell us beautiful stories. We could be crazy cat ladies, but
Mm,
we definitely deserve a seat at the table and some belief system change, because white guys talking to white guys about other white guys, insisting on we should engage in some diplomacy, forgetting about empathy. Enough of that stuff. Time for some action. Time
yes.
for fearless girl.
Yes. You are fearless, Beata. Keep showing up and keep putting your beautiful self out there.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you so much again for this great episode. Great
Yeah.
quotations from Racy, who brought us to this wonderful quotations. If your dreams don't scare you, they are not big enough, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said. Do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying, Roy Bennett said. And that's it from episode 187 of the PhD live stream. Thanks to our guest, Grace Redman. Be careful what you wish for, because, my wish was to be a woman of Renaissance. And I hope I bring some Renaissance here in your thought process, tapping into your childhood, tapping into some female wisdom, intuition, and so on. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Woman on It and turn on notifications to be alerted once a video has been released. Next week, we are going to talk to Dr. Ebru Karpuzoglu. And that's it. As always, our positivity quote comes from many sources, mainly females. Today is your day to hack the future, hack the positivity you want. And finally, the best quotation that Desiree loves: fake it till you make it. But I would rather say, as Maya Angelou says, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And that's it from episode 187.